China, for the past 10 years or so, or more, there's a so-called One Belt, One Road initiative implemented by current leader Xi Jinping. And that's, to me, that's exporting the plant economy to underdeveloped or developing countries across the world, in Central Asia, in Africa, in some European countries. And on the surface, they claim to be helping other countries develop their economy, but actually it's very political, it's a strong political agenda. And they try to influence those countries and manipulate them, and sometimes kidnap their economy. And so I think that's a very evil plan. But for some private businesses, they took advantage of this One Belt, One Road initiative and opening their business in various countries. I met some of those people. But in general, most of the projects was government projects. Money are Chinese government, CCP's investment, and doesn't benefit the countries they're in at all. For example, in Sri Lanka, the Chinese government lent a lot of money to the Sri Lankan government, and then they will go in with the Chinese construction companies owned by the government and offering to build a new port, highways or stadiums, but they have to promise to use the money they borrowed from China for the Chinese projects, and at very high price. And then the Chinese companies, government-owned, will bring their own workers to Sri Lanka to do the construction work. And those workers live in a very poor situation altogether, very basic accommodations, just basically live like in a container box. Many people share a room. And so they don't hire the local workers and the workforce in Sri Lanka, and they use the money they lend to the Sri Lanka government. So the Sri Lanka economy doesn't benefit at all of anything. So I visited those sites, and people there, they're very unhappy. And 1 year, they outvoted their president who's making these deals with China. So they elected a new president who's want to build better relationship with the United States and Europe. So all the Chinese projects stopped and became a more terrible situation because half completed buildings and port and everything. So it stopped for a few years, 4 years or 5 years. Finally, China negotiated a deal with Sri Lanka again. Because Sri Lanka government need money, so they leased their port to Chinese government for 99 years, exchanged for a lot of money. And then that money is still not enough to pay back the debt they owe China. So just recently, they renegotiate the lease for another 99 years, exchange for money. So they're selling their land basically to Chinese government, and Chinese government have a lot of control because almost 200 years they're going to have the privilege to use these port and building new cities in Sri Lanka for the benefit for Chinese government. So that's just one example. I traveled across Central Asia and a lot of Eastern European countries, and they all have the arena, sports stadium looks exactly the same. When I ask them, I said, the Chinese government built this, they all say yes, because you can tell. And they're not very well built,